There we go. Oh, we're recording. Okay.
Hi.
Got it. Hi. Nice to see both of you.
Hi.
You too.
We have a tiny little group right now.
I know.
Okay.
We just lost
Okay.
Purvi, I think, stepped off, had some network issues.
Okay.
But we're glad to see you.
Oh, thank you. I
was gonna say I love that background.
Oh, I actually turn around as if it's there.
That makes it even more real.
Oh God. Yeah, this is just down as part of my walk at lunchtime.
Oh, how lovely. Where are you?
It's in Victoria, British Columbia, in Canada.
I love
it.
Victoria.
And this is wait, if I move this way more, it's a pathway built for bikes and pedestrians that connects one neighborhood to another that otherwise you'd have to go all the way through downtown to get around.
That is fantastic. Oh my goodness.
It is fabulous. And when you bike over it in the morning going to work, I don't do that now, but I did last year. When you bike over it, on one side the sun rise, and when you're coming home the sun's setting on the other side.
Oh,
it's beautiful.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's beautiful here. And I have to say, it's all the more beautiful during COVID when there aren't tourists in town. It's like we're reclaiming our city.
Are you in Victoria Island or Victoria Island?
So it's Vancouver Island.
But
Vancouver City, the big Vancouver City, is on the mainland.
Right, and you're on the island.
I'm on the island, and Victoria is the biggest city on the island.
It's been Vancouver. So long since I've been there.
Oh, okay. And the island is like, it takes if you wanted to drive from the southern tip where Victoria is to the very northern tip, straight out on the highway, it would take 8 hours. The island's quite big.
It is very
large. It is very large.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Most people that live in Victoria haven't been to the north end of the island, even though there's a highway all the way up there.
Oh wow.
It's just once you get sort of halfway up the island, you lose it's all small town. So most people don't go there except if they're like camping or something like that.
Yeah. Camping.
Yeah. We're excited because we got our family spot. It's not ours, but it's the same one we've had for 11 years. So we got it again this summer. And anyway, so we'll go for 2 weeks in August. It'll be really nice. Yeah.
So will you camp, or what is it like you rent?
Oh yeah, we tent camp. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
I love
it's fun.
Oh my God.
Sheila, are you salivating?
I'm having envy. I'm having envy all over me. It's like, oh my God. I tried to reserve camping for this season, but because a lot of people from last year had reservations that were on hold, they allowed everyone from last year to get their spots for this year and a number of spots. So it's been kind of tough. And I think the only thing that I could find was like September, October, just like local.
Yeah.
But
I
love camping. I haven't been in way too long.
Something like that happened too with COVID. They were really discouraging people on the island from traveling to the mainland. And so last summer, many people camped on the island that usually leave the island. And so this summer, when we were trying to book, we realized, oh no, all these islanders now have figured out it's fun to stay on the island. So we usually go camping mid-June. We have for 11 years gone at that time, and we didn't get a spot till middle of August now. So it's we could tell, we were like, how can it be full? And yeah, people are loving it. So
that kind of segues into just what we're going to be talking about today, which is like endings and beginnings and all of that.
Oh, nice. Okay.
This is a big ending. This is a culmination. This whole opening up again is the ending of all of the like all of the sense of, I felt really safe and kind of in a cocoon.
Yeah.
In a really good way. I just it was just this wonderful time. And now I would, the last couple of days I've had meetings and I've been in traffic, like really bad traffic. Like 2:00 in the afternoon. And it's like, it's taking me like twice as long as it did just a month ago to take the same route. everybody is out and about. Everybody wants out. I get it. I do too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's changed.
Wow.
It's really changed.
It really is. It is
Wow.
definitely an ending of
Oh,
a time.
That kind of
Sure.
peace and like,
yeah.
reclaiming the streets and the neighborhood. I notice that because I walk on the beach a lot. So
Yeah.
the beaches are really crowded and
Wow.
it is so different. I call myself, I always think of myself as walking the gauntlet because it's this whole area on both sides of the pier where it's super crowded, right? Lots of families, lots of
Oh,
activity, kids like zooming around. And it's like I have to be really careful and walk that area. And then once I get past there, it's usually a little bit clearer. But lately, it's been busy even beyond. So it's like
oh,
people are really wanting to be out, and it's just like adjusting to, something different. A
oh.
new normal, as we keep calling it.
I think here we're probably about 3 months behind you, maybe. We're still in, everybody's still in masks, everybody's still 6 feet apart. And so I'm not noticing that surge quite yet, but it'll come, I'm guessing. I heard an interesting quote from somebody a number of weeks ago that said, when we first all moved into COVID, it was trauma. Like things were taken from us, freedoms and these various things, and how we've all made the assumption going through, it'll be so nice to get back to normal. But this quote was saying, or this article, I guess, was saying, it is in fact a trauma to go back to normal because now you're cutting off all your regular routines and what you had settled into. And like you said, the coziness and stuff, and now venturing back out with still a bit of fear, that in itself is a trauma. And I thought, wow, that's so interesting, because I kept thinking it'll be an easy slide into normal, but I don't feel that. I feel that anxiousness you just mentioned. Yeah.
And I think there was time for us all to reflect too at some point.
Yes.
And so I think what normal was isn't the same. And there were a lot of things I didn't go back to. So that, how do I do that with more fulfillment? We're in like kind of a global transition period because so much of what was happening before wasn't working. And I think I'm hearing and sensing a lot from people, this transition is an important one.
Yeah.
And that's where the values come in, because it's how do we do it differently? How do we really get clarity and use our values to make those transitions?
Exactly.
And create a more fulfilling new normal, not just any new normal.
Yes. I have to write that down. A more fulfilling new normal.
Fulfilling new normal.
I have felt totally off the rails the last couple of months. I started a new job, and I feel like my value sheet went by the wayside, and I was just really starting to sort of use that lens. And so I'm really happy to have the time to connect this morning. And I wondered, do you have another, the one I originally came in on was like a whole session on figuring out your values. Is that something that you'll be doing again? Or like, I want to tweak mine and redo them.
Yes, we haven't set a date, but we're going to do, so we do these monthly ones that are more of a conversation, and we can certainly talk about questions and examples of how we use our values and drill down a little bit on the work you did do. And then to go through the process again, we're looking to do it. We're going to probably do the next one will probably be a longer course. Do it maybe over 4 weeks.
Oh, nice.
And then we have the time to kind of dive down. So
yeah. Great. Okay, I'll watch for it.
I want to share, I'm actually not in my home right now. I'm in the East Coast. I'm in Pennsylvania because my daughter's graduating from high school. So I'm zooming in from beautiful Pennsylvania. And it's today's been rainy and green and really luscious, and it had me thinking a lot about endings, because graduations are an ending, as is this time period we are in. And And the ending with, and one of the things I realized too in our culture, and maybe this can be part of our new fulfilling new normal or fulfilling new normal,
Yeah.
is when we go through endings, just taking, it's a very busy time. Like as our culture tends to busify everything. And it's great because we have all these exciting and fun activities, but I've been in a whirlwind of busyness and, you know, now social things too, which wasn't happening as much during
Right.
COVID.
Right. Right.
And I really I really chose to hold on to my values during this time to help me navigate through that so that the busyness didn't take over. Because I don't want to be a human doing, but I want to be a human being. And it's important for me to do that. And the values really help that. So I brought with me here my value of gratitude and grace. So I could really remind myself of gratitude, even when some grief comes up and sadness and things like that, just be in the mindset of gratitude and grace that I don't have to control everything and that allow some space for divine intervention or miracles to happen or anything else that can help lift it so that I'm not having to do everything to make this okay or make this a really special event. So it was really helpful for me to remember that and not just get caught in the busyness, but how can I do the things I need to do, show up for those things, whether that's moving her out of the dorm or running around trying to find the right shoes or jewelry or hair appointments or, you know, like, because she had prom last year and graduation and all the fun things, but how do we take a moment to reflect and be and just honor that there's something ending here? So I think as we look at endings, so the values kind of help that. I think it's two parts. One is acknowledging that something's happening, acknowledging the ending outside of the busyness. So outside of the sitting in traffic, acknowledge what Sheila said, ending of this time we were so at home and had more cozy time and time to do other things that was hard in the beginning, but became kind of nice for a lot of us, not have to drive as much. So acknowledge the end. And then the other thing is the reflection, the like, how can I bring my values into this to help navigate it in a way that can feel fulfilling and not just busy? So, or like a whirlwind of stuff. So that was where my thinking was going, because there's so much happening and a lot of different, and people are changing. I know a lot of people moving out of state, you know, and people who've already moved out of state or are going to move out of state or moving jobs, people who want to move jobs, things like that. So there seems to be a lot of endings or people who are curious about what that would look like.
I do too. Now that I thought about it, I hadn't really thought about it, but I do know a lot of people who are moving as well and who have just moved or planning to move. I think a lot is happening.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are leaving California for sure, just because of the economic aspect of it and just wanting something different. And there's just a lot. My niece has gone to Knoxville and got a sister who's moving to be next to her grandkids in Reno. And my niece is just, my great niece is just temporarily experiencing Africa. Her family is in Guinea and she just left a couple of days ago. She's in Africa. So it's like all over the place. It's like it's like this dispersing. Everybody's dispersing, just kind of moving about. There's just movement happening. And I hadn't really appreciated the impact of that because it's like, wow, yeah, it's definitely, that's an ending. It's an ending to people being where you expect them to be.
Right.
It's not, yeah, and it's just a mental thing. I realize that because, you know, Amy, it's really funny because I was going to tell you earlier before we got on the call, just I'm aware that you are not in LA area. And that just feels different, you know? It's just like, I just have this awareness because I know that you traveled, right? But it still feels different. So there's just like, okay, it's not like it has any impact, right? Necessarily, but just my knowledge of it. And it's the same with my family and other people that are moving. It's like, yeah, on the one hand, it's not like significantly altering my life in any way, but there's just an awareness in the background that something has shifted. So it
Right.
feels a little bit different, and I'm holding a different energy around it, knowing that people are, whatever far is, right? Because this is all I have available to me. Whatever that is, it happens in my head, right? That's what I've been focusing on more.
Right. And
So
I
that,
think with all the moving, with a graduation, or like, there's a tendency to focus on all that has to get done, all the busyness.
oh my
And
goodness.
sometimes that the moments to pause and acknowledge the ending, and then reflect on the values of the past, and then what values what the values are to bring in, is an important step. It doesn't have to take a long time, but it is that awareness, as you said, or that acknowledgement,
Hmm.
that is
Hmm.
so key to make whatever is the next phase that much more fulfilling or meaningful, because otherwise it's just kind of a continuation, just kind of keep going.
Right. And I think that that's really where my value of presence
Mm,
is with me all the time, because I'm just constantly aware and reminding myself of where I am, that you are here now, But
right.
it's so powerful in a way. I marvel at it, because it really helps me to get grounded and to realize what's happening for me right now and what's happening elsewhere, where I get carried away with my mind, and then coming back, like
Right.
projecting
Yeah.
things, but then coming back. Okay, but this is where you are now.
Right.
That's all just like mental activity that has no bearing really on what's happening. This is what's happening now. And it really is powerful. Sometimes it's harder. And I do things too. Like I read things, I listen to things. I keep that in the forefront, because it's been such a powerful tool just during this whole process with the lockdown and everything else. And even now, I went yesterday to, I'm a big football fan. So yesterday I was at the Rams had an open practice at their beautiful new stadium. And I went with, my sister, one of my sisters. Originally there were going to be four of us, but there only ended up being two of us. And so we were there, and she doesn't move around very well. So at the end of it, we were waiting for the elevator, and it was just long time. Every time the elevator came, it was like full of people, right? I mean, it wasn't supposed to be full, but it was. Right. So I said, okay, well, there'll be another one. And she was like, gosh, I just don't, you're just like so like calm about it. I said, well, what else what else is there? It's like, okay, what's the hurry? Where do we have to rush off to? It's like we're waiting for an elevator, but why make it something that's unbearable or painful or problematic? It's just an elevator. It's just we're still at this beautiful stadium, and it feels really good. All this stuff is still working for us. So why worry about something so simple as having to wait a few more minutes for the elevator to clear and to be able to take the ride? So
Right.
it's just that's like just constantly there for me, and I find it just tremendously helpful.
Right. And so presence comes in as like, that's a great moment of just being
Yes.
present and mindful. And I can see it working in traffic too.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh
it takes
yeah.
so much longer.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Mhm.
Audio tape. It's all good. It's like,
Yeah.
there it is.
I was thinking about too, because one of the things with how do you decide what is busyness and what isn't too? Like, what am I doing and why am I doing something? And so here I am traveling across the country for her end of the year, and there was opportunities to volunteer for, they're called dinner dance, but that was her prom.
Mhm.
And I was able to find the balance for myself to be able to volunteer for a certain amount of time. So I was able to do it, but with my value of connection, it was important for me to schedule some time to do that, not make myself insane or flip my world upside down to do it, but I could be a little inconvenienced, right? But to connect with the other parents, to be part of
Mhm.
something. So
Yeah.
when I thought of my value of connection, that helped me determine, oh yes, I will say I'm available then. And so I stayed for my niece's graduation, and I got to thread carnations. So we did a carnation string to hang. They made like a carnation curtain. So that was
Oh
really
wow.
fun. And then I got to put greens around the tent, because normally they hold the event at a country club or restaurant, and they weren't able to do that. So they did an outdoor tent on campus. So the parents had to kind of make it look really pretty. And so that was fun. But it was really the value of connection that helped me not feel like it was an obligation or that I should do something. It came from a different place because I could identify the value. And that's also how it helped me acknowledge the ending, because I was connecting with others. And I probably won't see these people again, or maybe not, because I won't go back to reunions, but it allowed me to have that connection and have this moment and honor it in a different way than I would have before, because I could see it through the lens of my values, and then be grateful for that and add the grace of the connections that came through that. So it was a nice opportunity to practice that as I'm kind of living through it right now. And to say, and it's really busy too. So, yeah. So it's exciting, it's emotional, it's what's next, it's all these things happening too. So I'm glad to be able to be here with you and talk about some of this
Yes,
today.
glad that you're here too.
Yeah. So, hi, Jude. I didn't get to say hi yet. I don't know if you can talk where you are.
Yeah, I'm going to come on for a minute.
Oh, good. There's your beautiful face. Hi.
Wow. Hey, Jude.
Amy, congratulations. That is, I just kind of was listening to you and just like traveling through the journey of all of those things. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Really, anyone with children. I was just got off the phone. I was with a client.
It's a little hard to hear you. Can you turn your volume up a little bit?
Yeah, that's what someone said earlier. I'm probably talking low. Is that better?
That's better.
One of my values, I'm trying to soften, but I've noticed that like a lot of people like, can you talk up? Can you speak up? So I have to find the middle way there. Yeah, I'm just loving listening, to everyone, and these calls are so wonderful because they continue to not just trying to be very aware. Every single thing that I'm about to say is all part of my values, and what I was thinking as everyone was speaking. Sometimes I don't even recognize that the values are taking place. Like I heard you, Amy, and it sounded very intentional, like I'm imparting my value as I think about this or as I do this. And I'm noticing that I have my values all on my wall, like right as I walk out of my bedroom. So every time I walk out, I just give a little glance, and it's really interesting how they're really taking place in my life. And what I started to say was, I love these calls because they are an opportunity to instill them, in a really beautiful way, and hear how everybody else is weaving and integrating their values. And I'm really grateful for these calls. They're amazing. Another thing, I just did 2 podcasts, which was part of my values because I have been terrified to be visible. And
congratulations.
Thank you. It was a big deal. I went through a lot, having to watch myself after and listen to myself. And part of it was noticing how much I say, and and so I'm catching myself now without trying to judge myself, my value of compassion.
Right.
And, one thing though, I really just want to give a thank you to Sheila, because you had helped me a while back come up with the value of servant leadership. And these last few weeks, I've changed the whole direction of how I approach my work and clients. And it has really been much, it's not even less. It has been no trying to get clients, and it's been more of an opening to how can I serve today and who can I serve? And I literally got 4 new clients. And in addition to that, I have been working with this one woman in 2 capacities. And today she just gave me the most profound compliment, how we rebirthed as a result of the work that she's done with me. And, you know, as we know, there's so many values that travel in and out of each one. And, you know, gratitude is the leader. You know, that I can actually be in the place that I'm at today to have that kind of an impact, you know, and gratitude for myself for having gone through the suffering and the journey to be able to serve.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And I just, you know, there's just no greater, really, there's no greater external anything that could replace that, going back to connection.
Right.
You know, and there I go again, you know, connection and just, you know, being available as a servant, you know, as a leader, as a servant, and connection with spirit and the universe. And I'm just feeling so grateful, and, you know, yeah, just really grateful. Thank you for letting me share all that, because I don't, you know, I don't really get to share that with anyone that could hold space. It's a very narrow, it's a fragile narrow, which is the name of one of my poems, you know, just about people who think you're talking too much about yourself. So I'm trying to just honor the space that I'm in and who I'm speaking with, to allow myself to have that expression.
Wow, it sounds like you're on such a journey of your own with your intentionality and with your awareness and your presence, and how that's reverberating throughout your life, both in your work and in the moments that you share with people. And that sounds really powerful, Jude. I just was grateful for you for sharing that, and excited for you as well. Even though it's you started the conversation by saying that Amy seems very intentional, I think that there's an intentionality to what you're doing as well. You know, particularly as you take the time every day to look at your values, just kind of notice them. You know, there's something that happens. It's not always in front of us. It's not always a thought process, but it's a way of being. And the whole purpose in my mind of doing this work is to have your values be something that you live from. So there doesn't have to be a deliberate kind of like, oh, I'm going to use this value right now in this situation. It doesn't happen like that. It becomes something that becomes so much a part of who you are and how you present, how you show up in the world, that there is no, you don't have to think about it really. You just live it and embody it. And to me, that's like the most powerful thing about this work, is getting to the place where you're clear enough about what the values are so that they are operational, even when you're not consciously thinking about them and naming them. Because naming puts you here, it doesn't put you here in the being. So there's like a real kind of, you know, there's like this real thing about, oh, I can name them, but I can also live them. And then I can reflect in how I was living them, but not really be conscious in this kind of self-conscious, really focused kind of way. And I think that that's what it sounds like is happening, is unfolding in your life, which is like that. Kudos. That's powerful. That's great. That's the work. And it is work.
Thank you so much for articulating that. That is, I hear that. Yeah.
Yes. And to be clear,
like the living from, you know, it's just, there's just such, I don't know, like bounty about that, you know, it's like we're living from, it's all available, you know, and it's not anything that we need to do. It's just clearing so that we can be. So thank you. I appreciate that.
yeah, I agree. And what I want to share too is, while it is intentional for me, it's also very organic.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
it's not like I want to connect, so I'm going to do this, or I want to value connection. It's not that linear, and it isn't that heady. It's more, it's more integrated and flowy, and it is that reflection back to, it's kind of both. It's action, reflection. It's just not all action or all reflection. it's both. It's having an opportunity to take, because if reflection without action is not embodying your values either, action without reflection leaves the values out completely. So it's kind of having the opportunity to do both of those and just making sure we take the time to do that. And I love that your values are posted right outside to look at them, because that is just putting it front of mind. And then it does become more integrated in all of our ways of being out there. Or when it's not, it's way clearer and quicker to realize that. And that's what I also can acknowledge. And that's when I go, oh, okay, this is I'm not, I'm off track here. But then I can course correct, as opposed to, going too far down a pathway. But so I just wanted to clarify, I'm not like.
Oh, yeah. And it's so good that the fact that Jude brought it up really raises that, because it's such a good distinction to make, because we think about things oftentimes in a very linear way, right? It's like, this is happening and this is like, okay, this is, cause and effect, all of these things. But then we don't live that way necessarily. So it's like, when we're articulating it to each other, we're doing it in a way that may seem more in the head, but the actual process is quite different.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
and the describing of it is different.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to I hear what you're saying, and I didn't mean to make it sound like it was so, this A plus B equals C, and now I'm going to choose that because that.
No, I think we're all saying the same thing.
Right. I love it. This is great. It's a good clarity.
Really great. And the idea of servant leadership is so beautiful, and how that shift in how you are thinking about clients too, is that I'd imagine it's more fulfilling that way, isn't it? Right. And then so everything energetically changes and shifts and opens up because of that clarity. And it's so incredible for that. And then to take and I would imagine also being more visible and taking the risk and the vulnerability of your podcast. Also having the foundation of your values to do that helps give it more of a desire and energy behind it to fulfill that idea too. Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, especially when I was watching myself after, and I saw myself going into the whole critical, and I just, I did like some self-forgiveness, and I just said to myself, good for you for being of service.
Yes.
That's the message. It's not about you. It's let's move you out of the way. So that was,
yeah.
And by the way, as we're speaking about all this, Amy, thank you, because one of my values, which I'm feeling right in this moment, is flourish. It's like one of my new favorite words in the whole vocabulary, and so I feel like all of this is that expression of flourish.
Right. And I feel that way here too, being at graduation, all that's flourishing and playing with the flowers and the greenery. Flourish was totally active in all of that too. And yeah, like, hassle running around and stuff, but the flourish
reminds me of like color forms, I'll take this and I'll put it over here, and oh yeah, this works here. If anyone knows what color forms are, it might have been some of before your time.
I knew it.
I remember them, and when you said it, it's like I'm trying to get a visual. I definitely know color forms. It's like, whoa.
My kids had them too, because they were kind of like retro for them. So.
I'm not familiar with that term. Color forms.
Color forms was like a play game that they were these plastic pieces, and you could put them on different. It was a flat board. It wasn't like a like a dollar. You could just dress them up or put different things. You could just keep peeling them off and putting it here. No, now it works here. It's hard to explain, but Amy, if you have Jen's info, you can maybe send her some Amazon, something on colorful.
Yeah, and they're different shapes. So it could be a triangle that's a hat in one thing, or a roof in something else, and little.
That's exactly, that's it. And they were kind of like, they weren't quite magnetic, but they had they just like
sticky, and they had
a little stickiness on this board. And then or something like that, I would just recall, now it's like, wow, that's taking me way back.
You can make whole scenes and animals and buildings and people.
Oh.
Kids and adults, we can, So
Mhm.
they were a non-media toy.
Yes.
So fun for creatives. Yeah.
Nice.
That's good.
A parent choice toy.
Yeah. Parent choice. Yes.
Yeah. So
I was going to, Jude, I wanted to say that I liked what you were saying about catching yourself without judging yourself. And I think that fits in with some values. Not that I've named one of those, but that resonated with me like, oh, that's a value for me, like to just be gentle with self. And I wanted to share that I heard a term this week that I'm embracing and using the last few days. And I knew the term from before, but I just never used it like this. And it's silly Billy. I don't know whether you've heard where you might say somebody, oh, you silly Billy. And so I've been using that, like if I make a mistake or I do something I want to judge myself, I'm like, oh, you silly Billy, like you'll get it right next time or whatever. It, for me, it resonates as a gentler term and like acknowledging, oh, I didn't want to do it that way and I'll change it, but it's so much more gentle. Like we're all silly Billies at different times. Anyway, that was one thing I wanted to share. And then the other was, I liked you saying gratitude as a leader. And one of my values is health, but I realized over the last couple of weeks, I've had an injured knee. And so my mobility's been really limited. And I've been pretty sulky about it. And, you know, it's the reason that everything's crappy right now, kind of thing. And this was an excellent reminder. I'm actually thinking, I think gratitude, I'd like that to be a value for me, because as soon as I think about like, I have all the healthcare I need about my knee, and it's just my knee, it's not my whole body, and everything else that I could be grateful for about it. So thank you for saying those words. I liked the phrase gratitude as a leader. What I heard was and embraced was I want gratitude to lead for me in so many different thoughts that I have. So anyway, thank you, Jude. I appreciate that.
And I love silly Billy. There's such a playfulness about
yes
that, you know?
Yeah.
Even like playfulness, silly Billy, as opposed to a little more for me, which would have an intense tone of like, oh, I have to forgive myself now. You know, there's just real
Yes.
lightness about that. And
Yes.
I really appreciate it. And I'm very playful, like goofy with words. So that's so brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing, I'll just offer it to you if you're open to it. And I write for an online magazine for a health condition that I have. And I just wrote an article on the 5 types of gratitude.
Oh.
And so if you want it, I'm happy to, I haven't even published it yet, but if you want it, I'm happy to send you a copy because this is what I've learned is 5 different types of gratitude.
I would very much like a copy of that. And I also would like to know the name of your podcast. I have a podcast as well, which I've been struggling with continuing because of negative, oh, nobody will like it, oh, it's not good enough kind of thinking. So I'm inspired that you have one. I'd love to know the name of that as well.
I'm actually, it's not my podcast. I was a guest on 2 other people's podcasts.
Oh.
But happy to support you in that. Yeah. You know, so if you, I don't know if you want to put your email in the chat or I don't know.
Maybe. You guys are both in the Values Connection, so you can definitely
right
each other that way. And Jude, if you want to post your article,
that would be wonderful.
I think that would be nice. And
you know
definitely,
I'm not allowed to post it anywhere because when I write for the magazine, it's the only place that it can be.
Oh, it's I mean, it's not public though. I mean, it's not like no one else can see it. It's a private thing, but that's totally
yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
you can post it like a post, not an article.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable. I didn't mean it to be put you at risk or anything, but
you know what? It's all practice for me being visible.
Yeah. So if
I would love to read it too, Jude. I'm interested. I would love to read it.
But my hope is the Values Connection is that people can make connections and stay in touch through that and support each other as we all walk through this together and really learn to integrate our values in our lives and with each other, because that's the point, is to do it together and do it in community. like-minded, because it's just so nice to touch base and feel this. And I wonder, I was thinking, Jen, because you were saying you were feeling out of touch with them, because I think when I hear health as a value, how did you describe it when you were doing it? Do you remember?
Yeah, I have it here. It was unfinished, but I said, I have a smooth flowing body, and to medicine and cleanliness, and I have the power to choose what I want to be exposed to. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it may be finding, I do hear gratitude could be part of that. And I think that also playing with that, you may find some other ways of expressing that maybe health as a word can be transformed into adding another word to it as a phrase, just how she created servant leadership, or
yes.
it could
I
be
see.
well-being, or it could be healthy gratitude or gratitude health, or it could be any phrase that you come up with. Silly Billy health. It could be Silly Billy health. I mean, like what's funny, I like about that, what Jude was saying too, there's a lightness about it. Like I can get very focused on health stuff too. And and that it gets very serious.
I know. And then we get so
wrong,
critical.
really. Like there's a whole lot, like it's okay. And I can lose perspective. And so Silly Billy health could be funny.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's it, but I
no.
view the opportunity to play with it a little bit.
Yeah.
And bring in some of the things you heard, or put it up again. And certainly if we offer, when we plan to offer the course and things like that, it'll be a chance to explore it even deeper. But even on these calls, or you can post a question in the group, or as an active an action each week, any of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But I wonder if transforming the value, the words of the value might help transform the experience.
Yes, totally.
And the healing experience.
Right.
Health is so large. Health conjures so many different things, but then not enough to create the kind of energy around it that you're looking for.
I think even in naming those values, I can see, just even in looking, and this is the list I did back when you had your course. And I can see in there that I wanted to get the name right, and not, what I would like to do is rename them, put new words around them from that Silly Billy space of, and then they really become this enjoyable thing. So when I post them on the wall, like Jude said she did, I would actually enjoy reading them and go, "Oh yeah, that's right." Rather than just another to-do list of, be these ways or do these things.
That's the heart of it, really. It's the connection that you feel to them.
Yes.
That you don't. They become yours. That's how they become yours, because you connect deeply with them, and you name them, and you describe them, or you use a phrase that just means something to you. They get you going. Like, yes, I need more of that. Yes.
I love what Amy said about almost like the vibration of the word, and it can change the experience. Amy, that was so profound. I think, I don't have it in front of me because someone's in the room, but I think mine is vibrant health and well-being, because the word vibrant, and then a lot of the values that I listed within that includes the state that I want to be in. Like how I see myself, vibrant and radiant, and glowing skin, and whatever, all of those things.
And then for me, I don't think there's one of my values is actually health or well-being, but it's in all of them for me. And so when I'm talking about connection, it's connection with my body, and can I stay connected to it? And can I stay connected to healing? And and gratitude and grace in health and well-being, stability in health and well-being, integrity in health and well-being, flourish in health and well-being. So it's and at different times, yes, when I'm going through my health stuff, and you know, I've gone through my own, and still am going through my own health stuff. I look at it through that lens too, and there's not one right way or wrong way to do it. So it's just a different way.
Which makes me think about mine, and mine is mine is embrace the power of healing. And around healing has been such a transformative part of my life, because I've had my own health crises several times that have really had to dig deep and figure out how to move from a place of not being of dis-ease, you know, and there's a power in being able to do that. There's a surrender that happens in healing. There's an intentionality that happens in healing. There's a belief. I mean, there's action. There's so many things, and there's grace, and there's lots that are involved in that. And then seeing the transformative power of healing as it has shown up in my life. When I think about healing, I think of so many possibilities. It's like there's so much, things can shift.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do my part. And I know that the grace of spirit and the grace of so many other things are going to help me, and my body's own natural ability. I mean, there's so many things that happen, right? And so when I think about embracing the power of healing, it is so hopeful.
Oh, yeah.
It is, and it reminds me of what I've been through and what I've overcome. And so it's like, I know whatever is happening physiologically or mentally or whatever, that there is that ability to overcome and to transform that and to transcend that. And so that gets me excited. And so everybody's going to come at it. You know, I think all of us have healing in there in some way, but it's like, what is the thing that resonates for you? Because that just like, yeah, you can feel the excitement. It's like, oh my God, has my life shifted? You know, and have I been able to heal from some really pretty difficult things? And so, yeah, whatever, Jen, whatever, you're going to find that phrase, and you're going to find that, but it really is an energy that you're looking for.
I really like that point. I love the idea of, that even just reading the words around values would be energizing. Have them on the wall and be like, oh yeah, I'm psyched.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
The idea. And you know, cool. Remember the definition of how we define core values. It's a single word or short phrase that connects you to your authentic and truest self.
Yes. Your
inner compass to help you, guide you to where you want to go, what you want to do, and how you're going to do it.
And if you're looking for the energy in it, you'll know when you hit it, like that, whether it's coming from your true value. Yeah.
Exactly. There's an inner knowing, your internal guidance.
It's not about a should. And that's right. That's where the energy can help to determine, is that somebody else's value, but not
right.
Or is it some institution's value, or or coming from something else other? It's not that we don't all have moments of that where we have to honor those things, but it's different than taking it on our own.
Right.
It's having that clarity to separate other from self.
Right. And I think that it's important to acknowledge that we hold so many values beyond the ones that we've identified as our core values. There's many values that are operational all the time. You know, like I don't list the value of love, but my goodness, you know, that's just so foundational. I mean, some of them are just so foundational, right? They exist, but it's finding the ones that really move you and guide you in your life that are uniquely yours. It's like there's like all these values, but you have like grabbed onto or come into the world. Like I always say with some of them, it's like identifying the ones that are authentically yours, that will guide you on your path, on this journey through life, that are unique, that are different, that speak to what you're here to do. And when you identify the ones that are leading, like the leading values for you, it doesn't mean that the other ones don't exist. It means that you've got some that are like get to the core of this is who Sheila is. This is who Amy is. This is who Jen is. This is who Jude is.
I would even say the path to love, right? Like really love being that kind of resonant idea that how do we open our hearts and these connections to our heart ourselves, and how we put that out in the world.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's powerful stuff, and it can be fun too, and so that's why I love the idea of Silly Billy. Or
every time I hear that, I laugh. I actually wrote that down. that is like so much from childhood. It's so wonderful. It just makes me laugh because it's like, oh my goodness, it's like, yeah, lighten up.
Yes.
Like, holy, lighten up.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's a whole and that's a phrase, but it's about energy. It's lightening. It's lightening the energy. The energy, so that it's there and it's not laden with all this stuff. It's just just lighten up.
And our bodies and health are all energy. So fairly energy, right? So if we can lighten the load, that's going to help our vibrant healing, which I love.
Yeah.
All of that. So it is going to allow us to have more vitality, fulfillment, and peace.
Yeah.
Our energies are going to shift.
Just you saying those words together just made me think. I love the idea of a energizing peace. I always think of peace as this kind of low energy, kind of relaxed, but I love the idea of working hard or doing something really at high energy, but still being peaceful in it. Like that just hit me, those two words together.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
And I think you're on the path. You're on that journey to find those words and post them up. You have the workbook, so you can look at that too.
Yeah, that's right.
And the ones you have now, and as you walk by, if you look at a word and it's like, oh, that's not really resonating with me, you can kind of like, oh, okay, let me see let you go back to the step 4, which is the inspiration. Look around. And
yes,
even gratitude did not feel like a value in and of itself to me.
Yeah.
But when I don't know if you remember the story, when I went into the restaurant and looked and saw a sign that said Grace lives here, and I was like, oh, Grace, and I grabbed that and I said, gratitude and grace, that feels like something for me.
Nice.
Transform it because it had the energy that I wanted. So
Jen, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm done.
Oh, Jen, what was the word that attached to you were just saying is it about healing? You had a word.
The energizing piece.
Energizing. Okay, so that whole energy thing I think is really key. I want to leave you with that. I think that the words that have been floating around today having to do with energy and vibrancy, like vibrant and vibration, if you think of energy as vibration, which it is. Right?
Yeah.
So this is the path for you, is to find the vibrating energy in all of the values that you're thinking about. And just even when you talk about peace, it's like I've just been listening to something. I know we need to go soon, but how a lot of times people don't even recognize the energy that's coursing through your body, and there's ways to like even be aware of the energy of your being by just on your hands. It's like you close your eyes and you say to yourself, how do I know that my hand is still here if I can't see it, feel it, do anything with it? How do I know that it still exists, right? When my eyes are, and when you get quiet, there's an energy that you start to feel. There's some tingling, there's some movement in there that is at the core of who you are, right? There's a vibration, and there's vibration all the time that we're not always aware of. So I think that when you tap into that energy, something's gonna shift. It's gonna help you to like see how if it has an energy, then this I'm on the right path, right?
Yeah, I love that.
If it has an energy, this is the right path because I have this energy.
Right,
So,
right,
and that's what you're trying to get to, that energy.
right.
So
Yeah.
maybe that's
Thank you for that. I have felt really lifted by this time today. So thank you, ladies.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I always feel lifted. That's like, I love that word too. It's like, I always feel that after these, it's like, wow, this is such good stuff. It's like, this is such good stuff. It's so powerful.
It's great. It is. It is.
I'm so happy to be tuning in from cross country.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you on the app, and I've got you booked for next month, so I'm excited about that already.
Yay!
Thank you. Yay.
Yes. Take care
Okay.
of yourself. Yeah.
Thanks. You too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. See.